Welcome to the RGA Members Podcast, where we elevate professionals in our network, one guest at a time. My name is Matt Coots. I'm the COO of RGA Network. RGA is a membership organization for business professionals. We are a connection and relationship organization that is focused on providing the tools, education, and growth opportunities for our members. I'm here today to introduce our member, Hayley. Hayley, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
I am Hayley Dirck-Smith. I am a bookkeeper and business consultant. I am the owner of Evergrowth Consulting, and we help small businesses grow.
Fantastic. Short and sweet. How long have you been doing this? How long have you been in
So,
business? And then we can go into all the different things.
so I have been in business for 3 years. I just had my 3-year anniversary, and I started as a part-time gig. I was working in healthcare, and it was COVID, and it was terrible. As most healthcare workers will tell you, it was just awful. So I wanted to do something that supplemented my income, but also still helped other people. And so I went searching for that thing that I could get started fairly easily and get started fairly cheaply, considering I was still a college student. I didn't have a lot of money to spend. And so I needed to find something that was a happy medium, and bookkeeping fit the the topic of what I was looking for. Come to find out later on that both of my great grandmother and my grandmother were both bookkeepers.
Okay. It runs in the family.
So it was very
Looking at,
fitting for me to
yeah,
go into that. Yeah, exactly. It was
good.
like in my blood. It's meant to be.
Meant to be. Okay. So that's cool. And then how did you make the leap from this being something that you were basically doing part time to something that was then full time to then jumping in and actually doing like business coaching, consulting for clients? How did that whole journey transpire?
So I just did it. I had about probably $1,000 in recurring revenue when I quit my job. And that was the scariest moment of my whole life. And so when I started just about a year ago, I had my year anniversary from quitting a full-time job and starting this, and now it's gone swimmingly. But those first couple of months were hard, super hard. I just went to networking thing after network thing after networking thing, and I just picked up one client after another. And so that's where a year later, I probably have 40 or 50 clients from like three. So in a year's time, that's pretty good growth.
100%. 100%. So what do you find most of the businesses that you are working with? What is the biggest need that they have, would you say?
Data, not understanding their numbers. And they tell you that 9 out of 10 businesses fail. And it's not because they fail because they don't know what they're doing in their industry. They fail because they do not understand the data that they are working with. So if they don't know how to price an item, if they don't know how to job cost, if they don't know how to identify what their strongest item is that they sell, they will fail every time.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Because what is it? It's undercapitalization, and capitalization is going to get eaten through really fast if you don't know your numbers and metrics and what you need to do to keep that up. But that makes sense. Bookkeeping is super important.
Exactly.
Okay. And what would you say was obviously you said that you just got out and did it and took massive action, which I'm a huge fan of hearing. Obviously, you're an RGA member. You're also in a leadership role with us. You're in Lakeland and you have helped Lakeland grow and expand. But I know that you're networking all over the place. So let me just ask you this. How many days a week do you think you are performing some sort of networking activity?
In the beginning, I was doing it like 3 days a week
Mhm.
because I needed to find the business. You're not going to find business if you're sitting on your butt at home.
Right.
It's just not going to happen. You have to get out there and go and do the thing. So the more people I met, the more people I talked to, the more people I spoke to about their numbers and about the data, and the more people who started trusting me to keep their businesses growing. I have lots and lots of clients who come to me not just for bookkeeping, but because I offer the data segment that a lot of other bookkeepers will just skip over because they don't understand the importance. Everybody's getting ready for a tax return. I'm getting you ready for real life. I don't really tax return is important, but it's not my main priority. My priority for my clients is making sure that they can survive next week, next month, next year, 10 years from now, 50 years from now. Is this a generational thing? Is this something that's going to end at the end of your lifespan? Is this something that's going to grow beyond you? What legacy are you leaving inside that business? And so those are the things that I go after inside small businesses. We're not just here to get a paycheck. We didn't go quit a job from corporate America to come work for ourselves to give ourselves a job. We wanted to start a business, and a business shows impact. It shows loyalty. It shows a drive and hard work. And not everybody's cut out for that.
Yeah, I always say if you want financial freedom in any way, you've got to be some sort of entrepreneur at heart, because otherwise your entrepreneurs decide they live or die by their choices. So they have the ultimate freedom from that standpoint,
Pretty much.
at least in a free market system. Okay, so that's cool. So you've grown your business exponentially in 1 year. A lot of it involved getting out there and networking and finding people that you could help, whether that's through bookkeeping or it is from helping people understand the numbers and helping them with some sort of growth strategy to just continue pushing. That takes a lot of energy and effort and drive and focus. So obviously you're to be applauded for that leap of faith, I'm sure. So what's on the horizon for you? So you're here now. You've got a solid book of business. What's the next step for Hayley and Evergrow?
So currently, we are taking a step back from larger clients that take a lot of setup time because when we look at clients that are like property management companies, some of these property management companies have anywhere from 20 properties to 300 properties. And so onboarding a client like that takes a lot of time and a lot of understanding and knowledge of their business. So we are focused on growth in a way that looks like productivity, in a way that looks like process flows, workflows, stepping back from growing so fast that sometimes the organization gets left behind and stepping it up to the next level, not only with making sure that the clients we have are well taken care of, but the clients that we take on in the future are even better taken care of by pausing and doing the organization, the strategy, the growth that really needs to happen with inside the business, not just the forward facing momentum. I've hired 2 part-time employees over this last couple of months, especially during tax
Well,
season. And so training and onboarding them while also still running the business, while also still capturing new clients that are not, like I said, so overwhelming or so big that can't take the time to train the newbies that are coming on. Also getting clients out of the mentality that Haley is the person, the end all be all, because eventually I want every business. I want them to be able to lean on my staff and on my team members to be able to keep growing and keep going. And so I got a referral today and they're like, I only want Haley. And I'm like, eventually that's not going to be possible because those are really smaller tasks that I can delegate to employees who can do the job, especially when they're trained well. And so that will be the next step of Evergrow's evolution. And if we continue the process flow and the workflow development, we will be able to triple our business in a year.
yeah, it's fantastic. Focusing more on the infrastructure and the fundamentals of setting up that foundation so that you can grow from there. That makes complete sense. Any specific niches that you are working in or like market segment? Like I know, for example, RGA works with a lot of owner operators. So that's our niche. Not to say we don't have some larger fish as well that are involved, but typically the RGA members that we have are still in the business, at least here and there. They still have a hand in the running of the business as well as the day-to-day operations. So That's why I call them owner operators. Not not that they are the be all end all of the business, but they still have their hands in it. So
I like businesses that are a little bit bigger just because they understand that fundamental of delegation. That is a lesson that every business owner needs to learn, and they probably need to learn it early on. We are not professionals in every aspect of our business, and that's okay. But what I need business owners to do, and the people I look for as business owners for an industry in general, I look for business owners that have moved that delegation stage, that have really pushed past that, understanding that not everything can be handled by them. Industries that I'd like to take on that are interesting, construction is always a very nice one. We have gotten several restaurants here lately, and those are interesting to take on. Property management has been a niche for me for a while, just because property management is one of those specialty accounting areas that if you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't touch it kind of thing. And a lot of these property managers know how to manage a property, but they don't know how to manage their books. That's a really good industry. And my family's been in real estate for a long time. So pretty much anything real estate, brokerages, regular real estate officers, owner operators of their own rentals, done it all.
awesome. That's a pretty wide swath. So that's fantastic. When you're looking at your business versus the other businesses that are like yours that are out there, what differentiates you from your competition?
Okay. It's the numbers part. It's that data driven research. It's that cost analysis. It's understanding what makes your business tick, what makes your customer tick so that they come back and give you more business. One of the things that I worked on a business with just a couple weeks ago is their schedule. Their schedule is going to get them another $100,000 in the door, but they have to maximize that. And so it's not just looking at, oh, I can categorize some transactions and do some reconciliations. Like, it's more than that. It's taking on the business and understanding their flow enough to be able to pull it apart and say, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this right, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this right. And a lot of that's dealt with or seen in your numbers and your data. What what item are you doing the most of? If you don't know what item you're selling the most of, probably need to go back and evaluate that.
Yeah. And then who are you selling that to? Well, do you know that? If you don't know what products you're really selling, it's going to be tough for you to identify. Okay.
Exactly.
That's a whole nother conversation. Okay. Let's ask some other.
That's a whole of
So
them an
listen,
ideal and fill
we have
them
20
out.
minutes here. We have 20 minutes here. We have to stay on point. Otherwise we will rabbit hole. Okay. So what would you say are some suggestions or some strategies that have worked well for you in this last year and a half as far as like how you're networking and how that's helped you grow? So you went from 3 clients to, what did you say, 60-ish, something like that, in a year and a
45
half?
or 50. Yeah, I haven't done
Oh,
a
okay.
count in a couple of weeks. It's gone
Oh,
up.
okay. So 45, 50-ish. That's more than a 10x. So and you
Oh,
said
yeah,
that a lot of that was from networking. So what would you say are some of the
a lot.
strategies that have worked well for you through this last year and a half in regards to now?
Showing up and being nice. I know it should sound like it's 101, but it's not. Show up with a smile on your face. Show up like you want to be there, whether you're nervous, whether you're excited, whether you're shaking in your boots. Show up with a smile on your face and be nice to everybody. I have gone to networking events where they have been cliquish. I have gone to networking events where they are the most humbling and welcoming people you have ever met. And the biggest difference, and the thing that it doesn't matter what niche it is, it doesn't matter what networking event, show up, open your mouth, say hello, ask them about themselves. Don't go mean and show up and smile. You'd be surprised at how many people, when you walk into a room and just smile, how many will smile back. Once they smile back, that's your end. Showing up and keep showing up. Don't stop. Don't show up one week, skip 2 weeks and then go back. That's useless. They're never going to remember who you are. They're never going to remember what you do. You have to show up consistently. And once you realize inside your networking areas, there is a turnaround time to leads of business. For me, it was a couple of networking stuff was pretty instantaneously. Like I met people, they hired me. It was great. Not saying that's going to work for everybody. Just to be clear, some people have come to me, RGA members have come to me and said, how do you get business so easily? And I'm nice. I show up for people. I do the right thing. It's that simple. The
Yeah.
other thing that I will tell people is you've been doing this a long time. It's the same thing, I'm sure, for you. And keep showing up. There is a timeline. It took me 4 months to land what I would call whales. And the whales are my multi-million dollar businesses that pay me a really nice retainer every month. It took me 4 months of consistently showing up every single week to get my whales. So if you're not showing up consistently inside your business, inside your networking organizations, then you're never going to land what you need to land.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you also did is you priced yourself right for the market when you came into RGA too. You didn't price yourself out of anything. You opened the door to have a conversation and to be able to prove your value and then to go from there. So that's one of the biggest things that I tell people is, look, you have to give value inside of RGA because RGA is not a leads organization, connections and relationship organization. So people are looking for people that are capable that they can partner with to do work, to create opportunities, to grow their business. But you don't just get to show up and assume that role. You have to show up and add that value. And like you said, stay consistent. So yes, awesome. What advice, if you have any off the top of your head, I know we're moving on towards 20 minutes here. So we'll ask this question and then we'll go to the ending question. What advice would you give to any aspiring entrepreneurs or professionals that are looking to advance their careers or their businesses over the next, and that might be a bit broad. Let's reframe that as, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs that are just starting out and who are trying to advance over the next year to year and a half of their new business thing that they form?
Find your client. Find who you're talking to. Find who you're going up to. I have had a couple of businesses who networking groups, because they're B2C, a business to consumer, a business to customer, they really were having a hard time inside networking groups because they weren't in the right area. They weren't in the right market to be looking for their ideal client. Know who your client is. Once you know who your client is, do the numbers, do the data. Are they going to be able to afford your services? I call them baby businesses. If they're $100,000 a year, I'm not taking $500 a month from them. That's just ridiculous. Understanding who you're going after and understanding who you're working with and knowing what their price point is, and then also knowing your product inside and out.
One of the other things that I would add to that is also being aware of,
Mhm.
if you're just a good person trying to help people and you have capacity, it's very easy when you get into a large organization to just get swamped under by giving too much. And
Yep.
so I think one of the things that we also have to be aware of when you're joining an organization like an RGA, or if you join a large chamber where you're heavily involved, is it's very easy to give too much of your time. Especially over that first year and a half, you have to be really laser focused on building your business. And then you can start to get back to these communities and to show up for things and do special things and try and help more people and all the things. When you're just getting started, you really have to be very revenue conscious, and you need to be getting as much
Yep.
promotion as you can and not necessarily spending as much time with each person that you meet. And you need to cast a wider net to see where you're going to find these clients at. Lots of activity, massive. So
I like meeting people before or after networking meetings, so then everything's clumped together.
yes, that is a awesome little thing to be able to do, is to set up a meeting right before or right after. 100%. Okay. So question I will say the question of the day, even though this is my second podcast, and I did ask this question in the previous podcast as well. If you could go back in time a year and a half and give yourself some business advice, some sound business advice that you've learned now that you've more than 10x your business in the last year and a half, what would it be? You can tell yourself one thing.
Quit sooner. Quit sooner.
I'm assuming you're
I would have
talking about
quit
the
my
5
job
job.
5
Yeah.
months.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
I would have
Yeah.
quit I would have quit
Like
my
you haven't
day
quit
job
yet.
a
So
lot
there we go.
sooner. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Take the
no,
plunge.
I take the plunge because you're never gonna work harder than for anybody but yourself. I work 10 times harder now. I work longer hours. I work way harder than I've probably ever worked in my life. Do I care? No. Am I going to a music festival in a couple of weeks? Yes, because there's flexibility. I don't have to answer to somebody to get time off. I My business would probably be even further than it is right now if I had quit 5 months sooner, and there's a lot of things that wouldn't have happened if I had quit 5 months sooner. And there's a lot of things that probably would have happened if I did. So take the plunge. Don't sit around and wait. If I known what I know now and known what, especially that employer, what was going to happen. Oh yeah, I would have quit a whole lot sooner.
Yeah. Take the plunge, but also have realistic expectations. Like the first year,
Yeah,
year and a half
it's
is
hard.
going to be, it's going to be, if you are not in that first year and a half working more than you ever worked in your life to get this business going, if you're not going to bed exhausted most nights, then you know that you have
Mhm.
capacity that you are not using and that you need to be
Pretty
redirecting
much.
into your business right now. Because that first year and a half is definitely the make or break point for most small businesses. So awesome. Haley, where can people
Yes.
find you?
Evergrowconsulting.com.
As you know, our mission here at RGA is to help empower our business community. This podcast is an important part of our mission because it gives you and the rest of our members a platform to promote and share their business, their story, their mission. So thank you for participating today, Haley. All
Thank you for
things
having me.
RG, of course, all things RGA can be found on our website at www.rganetwork.net or any of your preferred social media channels. We will see all of you on our next podcast. And Haley, I will see you at a meeting soon.